What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Fit, Healthy, and Most of All Happy podcast. I am your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I am fired up.
It's Motivation Monday. We love these episodes and we really appreciate all the positive feedback we've had on the new format of this episode, the motivation that's included, and the incredible questions that have been being asked. So we want to thank every single one of you for tuning in today and to let you know that you are in for a treat of an episode. As always, we like to kick it off with our quotes, and we're starting it off with our community quote. So if you're wondering what that is, what we do is these videos, well, this podcast is actually now a video. So if you're watching on video, hey, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. And if you're listening, you can also check us out on YouTube. The link is in our show notes. We have both videos posted. It's fun because you can actually see us talking, see our mannerisms, all these great things. We try to put some edits on the screen, and we have a goal of having this evolve into more as we advance further with this podcast and as this podcast grows. But one thing we love there is you can actually comment down on the episodes. We can have discussion, we can get feedback. It's tough sometimes posting a podcast, just having it be audio and not hearing what every amazing member of the community like yourself is saying. So on the Motivation Monday episodes, we have everyone drop their favorite quote down below, and whichever one gets the most thumbs up, we love to share here on our episode of Motivation Monday. So I'm going to share the winner from last week. And this is kind of funny because it is my quote, so I'll take it. But the quote is, "The body is the boss." And I love that this was shared by Rachel because this is something I've said often, and I know it can be a confusing statement. Like, what does it mean the body is the boss? But what I mean by that is oftentimes we think we're so in control, and you make this shift, you do this, you're going to naturally get this result. But the body will always move at its own pace, and we need to be responsive to how our body works. And that's why a process isn't linear with anything. With strength, with weight loss, there's always little kinks in it, and oftentimes that will be your body. If you're trying to lose weight and you say, over the next 8 weeks, I'm going to lose 8 pounds. Naturally, you'd say a pound a week. Sometimes the body holds on to weight. It'll be sticky. Then all of a sudden, it'll whoosh off 4 pounds. Or with strength, you'll be super strong for a few weeks and you'll be super weak. You won't know what's happening. The body's unique. There's a lot going on here. There's hormones, there's stress, there's just so many factors. And in your journey of fitness, health, and nutrition, you need to be able to respond to what happens in your body. And when it does create these challenges, it's not about being discouraged. It's about knowing that you can put in the work to burst through them to see that success. A good example is a lot of my female clients, it'll be the time of the month, and during that time they'll notice that their weight isn't changing. They're doing what they need to do. They're making progress, or maybe it pops up. There's a lot going on at this time, a lot of water retention, a lot of bloating, a lot of hormonal change. And as long as you know you're putting in that work, at the end of that week, however long it is, you'll see that weight actually begin to change, and you'll realize that effort. Same with being sick. When you're sick, it can be incredibly discouraging. You see your weight coming down in a bad way. You can feel de-energized. But if you're resting up, you're getting a lot of food, you're going to be in the best position to come out of that sickness than if you're not. And sometimes just the same body as the boss, everything will be going great. You will get sick, you'll get an injury, things like that. So I just find it's a good reminder to say that things don't always happen perfectly, but they happen how they're supposed to happen.
And I really love that because, as this was shared, I was just thinking myself personally how, for me, I've just been noticing myself getting a little bit more sore than usual. And I hadn't changed a whole lot. It's nothing to do with my leg day and everything like that. But last week we were talking about being present and being aware and noticing all these things. And I think it's so easy to just like brush something off and be like, oh, legs are a little bit sore. But for me, when I have something going on, whether it's injury related, sickness, just tightness, like whatever it is, I always go down to the root and think, okay, what can I do to change this? Like, how can I listen to this signal that my body's giving me? I've been in this thing for so long. I start to understand trends. Of course, there'll be ups and downs. There'll be, great times, not so great times within just how you're feeling. But I'm thinking, oh man, I've been skipping my mobility a bit more. I haven't been doing my active recovery as much. And for me personally, just being able to notice that even this morning, I already made a different change. And once again, it's a good reminder when you get these signals, when you're actually present, when you pay attention. Last week, once again, talking about our mindset and just being aware within our thoughts and everything was great, but also being aware with like what's actually taking place in this thing that we only have one of, right? And it's so easy to just push it off and say, whatever, I'll take care of it in the future. I'll worry about what it tells me in the future, but it'll tell you some great things if you listen to it, if you pay attention. And yeah, your body's the boss, and you gotta listen to it and take care of it 100%.
All right, now we will jump into my quote, which is, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. And I love this because we've spoken before about taking responsibility, taking ownership, and not being a victim to challenges or circumstance, and instead rising to the occasion, wanting to be better. And when you have that attitude of wanting to be better and knowing that you can face any challenge, that there is no barrier that's too big, it's very freeing and empowering. And that's something I've worked in all stages of my life. And when you apply this mindset to any stage of life, you never get stuck and you enjoy the challenge of the day to day.
Awesome. And that brings me right into my quote / phrase / paragraph. It is, can we please stop using the word only? I've only lost 5 pounds. I've only lost 2 inches. I only worked out 3 times. I only got 8,000 steps today. The word only is blinding you from seeing the progress you are making. So I hear this very often in day-to-day conversations where people kind of put down their accomplishments because they think that they should be doing more, or they think they should be at a higher level. And it is great to notice that you can do better to, make those improvements. I'm always hard on myself as well, but I think a lot of people don't recognize their wins, what they're actually doing, because they're comparing against others. And, it's one of those tricky situations. If you start to realize you are making great progress, like even just, there'll be someone, let's say, who hasn't worked out for so long, they just get into the gym, they got 3 workouts, and they'll say, oh, well, it was only 3. Like, they'll put themselves down. Like, instead, change that mindset, change the wording, and I guarantee you'll start to see better success because you won't begin to feel like a failure. You won't put yourself down. And it is wild, like how the more that we talk to clients, the more that our goal is to change people's way of thinking, like how words, like just one word alone could be something that changes how someone thinks, how someone believes, and even just can throw someone off track. So I just thought this was powerful. Hopefully that got through to some of you. Stop using it. You're doing great, especially if you're putting your best foot forward. That's really what matters. And that's what makes the biggest difference on your journey.
We mentioned it before, but self-talk is so important. If you're diminishing your own accomplishments, seeing yourself as not being able to do big things, you're not going to go very far. Whereas when you be proud of yourself, you praise the accomplishments you have, but also you don't grow complacent with a small amount of change, because on the other side of the spectrum, we'll see people say, I've lost 4 pounds, so I'm good to go now. I'm loosening up my diet. I'm not going to the gym anymore. And then they'll end up right back where they were. Instead, the healthy medium here is to celebrate that change and then keep going for more. Use those tools, use those lessons you learned to achieve that first step, take the next one, and keep that march forward. Now we're going to jump into our thoughts for the week. And the first one I've had, and it's something I reflect on, is I was looking through some of my old notes. We use Google Keep, and I had a bunch of old notes and goals and different thoughts and things back there. And it's hilarious looking back at the crazy goals I had at the time where I thought there was no way. They were super ambitious, and it's really powerful to see all the things I've accomplished that I like. It's crazy looking back, and it's easy to diminish those accomplishments, just like Kyle said, like, oh, it's only that small thing. Now I have this new, even crazier, scary goal. And that's an issue of wanting to move ever forward and having incredible progress and challenge and being like on that success journey. Is you're always setting bigger and better goals. But it's important to look back, look at how far you've come, look at the amazing things you've done, and use that as fuel to continue to do even better, greater things.
Yeah, I definitely don't do that enough. And it is a good reminder just to actually, once again, look back on something like this. It's funny because Josh actually had this in there before. And when I saw that he had this, I was like, oh, this is a great quote to apply to it. But it's so powerful because it's so easy to just compare yourself, keeping up with the Joneses. You see other people and you think that you haven't come as far. But when you do reflect on that, like Josh said, it's a good reminder. I'm going to put that in my to-do list to spend some time. And I love looking back on my journals too. I have like 7 or 8 of them that I keep in my, just at home, just in, all the notepads, just everything that I've written down. And when I spend time, I remember looking back, one of the biggest goals was to get to 1,000 subscribers. And looking at it now, I'm like, man, that is crazy. I'll remember. And even just you can remember those actions and everything that we specifically. I remember between 500 and 1,000 subscribers, what took place, where we were, how we were struggling. I can just vividly imagine that. And it makes me think, oh man, just because we're not at 200,000, but we've come so far. So it is a great reminder. And I thought that was awesome for today.
Awesome. That's all I have. Anything else you want to?
It's just one thing I want to share, especially because I feel like it's everywhere out there. I filmed on Instagram. And by the way, if you're not following us on Instagram, giveaways, daily content. We try to post almost every single day, but there's something up there, consistent, short form, little podcasts in there with great value. Josh, day of eating recently, as we mentioned, there's just so much great stuff. So follow us at Colossus Fit, amazing announcements, especially for our coaching, everything like that. But I did make a video on this and I'm sure some people saw, but a lot of times people give in to such nonsense. And this is something I'm very passionate about and I just want to share because there's so many things out there that I feel like benefit people: healthy eating, a gym membership, some sort of assistance from coaching, all that great stuff. And then there's the other side of the spectrum of people who are out there just looking to make a quick buck. There's so many scams out there, especially when it comes to like these drinks, like between fit teas, multi-level marketing, like all these things that give you these bold promises that it's going to change your life, all this other stuff. And I just want to, give you a little recommendation to try to stay away from all that stuff. I know if you're listening to this, you probably do, but they're enticing. Like there's so many bold claims out there. Like I'm not going to lie. Like I could sit here with my coffee here, speeds up my metabolism. It helps me consume less calories. And I could list a million things. And some people are like, holy crap, I'm going to go buy that right away. But the biggest thing is realizing that even if someone makes a change, oftentimes there's other things that are taking place. So let's say you happen to start drinking this coffee, making this awesome change and, incorporating that into your routine. Most people start to clean up their diet. They start to get a little bit more movement in. They start to do all this other stuff benefiting them. But then they'll say, well, this product, this whatever it is that I ordered is the thing that's making the big difference. But it really has nothing to do with it. It's just that the fact that they cleaned up their lifestyle, they started eating healthier, they started working out, they have the accountability, they've got a supportive network, all that other stuff. And yeah, you just need to be careful out there. It's just a little friendly reminder. We care about every single listener, every viewer. Once again, our goal is to be a change in the fitness industry. We're super passionate about that. So just keep your head up and you'll be good to go.
And now we're going to highlight one of our clients who has been absolutely crushing it. Who do we got?
So this week we have Steven, who has been working with our awesome coach, Jason, and his photos are up on the screen if you're watching YouTube. They're also on Instagram. Once again, another reason to follow. And he gives a bunch of tips. We give a tip for every single transformation if you're not aware. And it's just insane. I look at these photos and it makes me so happy because he's a completely different person. Like the confidence, he's got a flex going. Like it's just incredible to see. And it's ongoing transformation. We've shared in the past his first 8 weeks, his first 12 weeks, but these are my favorite ones. When they keep going, they start to see just that they push past that part where it's like a lot of people unfortunately go backwards, and it makes my day. I'm so happy to see. But one of his biggest tips, he talked about nutrition, tracking, working out, motivation, but he said nutrition. What helped me a lot was pre-planning breakfast and lunch, which also helped throughout stressful days because when hunger spikes, you already know what's waiting for later and what you'll be eating. It also allows you to have a solid outline to follow for the day, and then you can top off the rest of your macros goals at dinner when you have more free time to be flexible. And absolutely phenomenal. It's just amazing to see. And what's really cool about this is that he's going to be taking part in the Summer Shred Challenge and, just all of our amazing, awesome clients as well. Right now, we do have a couple spots available for this. It's going to be taking place. I was looking at the calendar the other day and I realized that it's essentially 2 months away from summer. It's going to come by so quick, but as we're planning it out, getting all the criteria, the daily challenges, the weekly challenges, the prize criteria, everything taking place, we're just obviously super pumped about it because we're going to be doing it, all the other coaches and our entire community. There's literally no way that you're going to fail. If you don't jump on board, you're going to be missing out. I'm going to be honest with you there. You're going to want to be part of this. It's going to be absolutely insane. The live streams, everything taking place. All you need to do is message us Summer Challenge to our Instagram at Colossus Fit, COLOSSUSFIT, and we will take care of you and get you the results that you deserve for summer and for the rest of your life.
Take care of yourself by letting us take care of you. By taking that first step and understanding you are worth the investment, you are taking an incredible leap forward in terms of bettering yourself. Because in this 60-day challenge, you're going to see so much change. You're not even going to be able to recognize yourself. And we can't wait to personally coach you through that process. Once again, you can DM us a Summer Shred. Once again, you can DM us Summer Challenge on Instagram to take care of that incredible offer. Now we're going to jump into your questions, and we have incredible ones. We've been really blessed with such good questions lately, so I'm so excited to jump into this. The first question is, how can I increase my squat depth? I work on a lot of ankle mobility, but can't seem to get anywhere. I love this question because squat depth there's a lot going into it. Same with proper deadlift form. Form in those two movements in particular is a big thing because there's so much that goes into it. You can approach it a million different ways. And I know there is a big movement from a mobility crowd to do a ton of movement so you can achieve certain depth levels. My biggest thing for most people is to actually see if you're doing your form and your mechanics right. Oftentimes when you make small micro adjustments, you can actually improve your depth quite significantly. And the other easiest way is just by dropping the weight. It's so easy to get in your head about your mobility and lack of your ankle stability and all these different things. But by actually just taking the time to lower the weight, to learn to do it properly, there's a good chance you will be able to work that out, and you won't need to go through some 12-week mobility clinic or whatever programs are being sold out there. I'm not saying the mobility isn't going to help with that. It absolutely will aid it. But oftentimes you can learn mobility and strength within a movement. Fantastic thing about full range of motion is you're actually working your muscles and effectively stretching your muscles by actually engaging them in this full course of movement, and that can create a healthy range of motion as well as stability from that muscle. So for squat in particular, the biggest mistake I'd say is shoes. A lot of people have the wrong shoes. They'll end up super far on their toes, and you'll find naturally when you do this, it's really hard to sink down into a squat. When you actually get an Olympic lifting shoe or a squat shoe, you'll have about, I believe, half an inch to 0.75 of an inch of extra lift, and this mimics you actually standing on plates. So if you've ever done squats where you stand on plates, you drive your heel into that plate, you'll find it's really easy to get depth, and it fixes most people's problem. This is where having a shoe with good stability that puts you in the stronger position is absolutely advantageous, and why I believe investing the $75 to $200 or whatever it is for those shoes is good. Everyone jokes, well, my buddy jokes, because my shoes, I believe, are 11 years old. I've had them for 8 years, and one of my friends had them for 3 years before. I know it sounds gross, but they're not nasty at all. They've been really, really solid. I've taken good care of them. The original leather Addy Powers, the red one, so I'm incredibly proud to have them. But that alone can make such a big difference in your squat. Next is confidence, and one of the easiest ways to maximize your squat is to actually film yourself every time you do it. When you watch that video, to say, oh my goodness, I'm way higher than I am. That's what happens 9 out of 10 times. When you're looking for parallel, what parallel is, if the creasing of your hip, so if you feel around your pelvis, should be about in line with your knee, and that is the easiest way to know if you are indeed parallel. Most people will be, I would say, 6 to 12 inches above this. People will be a lot higher than they think, and even myself, when I started, I had the same mistake. You start filming yourself, you'll notice how easy it is for you to get into that. And why it's important not only to film yourself once, but to keep filming yourself, especially when you're learning, is you'll find as that weight gets heavier, you start to compromise that depth a little bit, and you trick yourself into thinking you're getting stronger, but you're just getting worse form, and it's going to be harder to undo it. I'd rather see someone squatting a plate, 25 on each side, whatever it is, really properly, than someone loading up 4 plates, doing quarter reps. You're just repping it out for ego and you're getting nowhere. So my biggest tips are actually work on the movement. If you're really bad with barbell and there's too much going on there, there's no shame in starting with dumbbell work. I'll have most of my clients start there and advance into barbell work because I believe it's a natural progression. You can start by actually doing goblet squats. You can start by doing front dumbbell squats, where you actually put 2 dumbbells in front of you on your shoulders, and that's really going to help you find stability in that movement. Learn to lean into your heels as well as work on stomach bracing, and all these things will work together to get you a really good, healthy, deep squat.
I love that Josh mentioned dropping the weight, because I know for a fact a lot of people can have a better squat, better looking, and just get more benefits from going from 2 plates down to 1 plate. And you know, some people will say, oh, well, you know, I'm not getting as much overload, this and that, but it's also you're missing a quarter or at least half to maybe even 3/4 of the movement. So you're effectively not hitting all the muscle groups that the squat should be targeting, right? You don't have to be going butt all the way down to the ground. That used to be a thing that people would say. It doesn't have to be that low, but like Josh was mentioning, parallel, and even just using a box sometimes could be helpful, because at least it can kind of force you to kind of get the understanding. Even still, sometimes the boxes are a little too high, but at least to kind of force yourself to touch your butt down to the box can give you the right idea and kind of get you into the right, you know, movement pattern, and just give you that kind of cue. Okay, cool, we're moving in the right direction. And then even like, yeah, just I do believe that if you incorporate a little bit of hip mobility here and there, past everything that Josh said, like for me personally, I feel like a lot of people just day to day, because they're sitting, because they don't walk as much, they don't do any of this stuff. If you do some 90-90s, if you focus on like 2 to 3 different hip mobility movements, I'll leave a video down below. We have a YouTube video with 5 different ones that I'll usually do a couple times a week, and it's very helpful. But yeah, past that, drop in the weight, all that great stuff, incorporate these things here and there, and I know you'll see some better changes for sure.
Now for number 2, continuing on the squat trainer, what are both of your all-time 1-rep maxes that you were really proud of? So I'll let you take this one away, Kyle.
So we've gone through a fun powerlifting phase and just done some competitions, won all of them, which is awesome. And yeah, it's just been a great time. And essentially for the deadlift, I've done 525 pounds unofficial. So that's pretty much, the bar wasn't in a fluid motion. So when you have to do the deadlift, I kind of go up, down, and then I would still got it up, but in competition it wouldn't count. So 510 pounds official, 475 pounds was my squat. I'll talk about the bench after, but for me personally, that's the one notable personal record that, once again, not to discredit, not to say, oh, none of these accomplishments are worth it. But for me, when I work towards something and actively set a goal and just like, that's my big focus. Like when I achieve that, that's everything. And that means the most. Like if you told me I could bench 400 pounds but not work for it, I wouldn't really care about that personal record, because it's all the training leading up to it. It's that all the visualization. Like when I set the goal to do 475 pounds, it was against a friend, Liam, and we were doing a competition, and we were talking back and forth, and my goal, like I said, I want to squat 475, and it wasn't really in the ballpark of what I thought was actually doable, but I set that goal. So I remember just closing my eyes thinking and just like visualizing it. I remember specifically when I was squatting, I would always think 475. When I went to do it, everything was feeling good. I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. And it happened. So I really love that accomplishment. There's nothing better. And then bench press has been like 290-ish pounds. I want to get to 300, 315. I'm still, working on that. But one day, I'll be able to announce that. But those are the main personal records for the 3 compounds.
Keeping track of your personal records is another way to really enjoy the process of going to the gym and to make it always exciting, because you're setting micro goals in the big goal of being fit, healthy, and happy. And by having these small goals, it makes the day-to-day less mundane and more exciting. So some of my favorite lifts have been like shoulder pressing 100-pound dumbbells for the first time, getting to the full stack for tricep push downs, hitting new PRs on the lat pull down. Some of the really small things you might not think twice of, but to each person, it can be incredibly exciting. Or doing your first pull-up with great form, or learning to do a push-up. Whatever it is, these are incredible PRs that shouldn't be overlooked. Even the first time you bench a plate or squat a plate or get to the 2-plate club, 3-plate club, it really makes the process fun. So it's something I really enjoyed, and I love helping clients reach levels of strength they never thought they could, or taking someone who couldn't do a pull-up to being able to do 10 really good form ones. It's an incredible feeling to be strong, and everyone should definitely get to a point in their life where they can be strong, where they can move themselves, and it is a fantastic feeling. So for me, for the bench, squat, and deadlift, the most I've ever done, deadlift I believe is like 614 or something like that, somewhere just above 600 pounds, which I'm really excited with. I've done that a few times now, which is cool. I was thinking I'd probably go towards 700, but in those crazy numbers, it takes quite a toll on your body. You need to be quite locked in and focused, and really be leaning into that, and maybe putting a little bit less effort in the hypertrophy side of things, which I really do enjoy. So we'll see if I revisit that goal sometime later. I don't know. For squats, I've actually done a 6-plate squat, which is really cool. So that's 585 pounds, which is pretty nuts. So I'm really happy with that. And I did it to depth. You can go ahead and check out the video on our Instagram at @ColossusFit. We just posted it as a reel recently. And then for bench, I've done 400 as a gym PR. It was a horrible rep. My butt was off the bench, but I lifted it, which is cool. It went down, it went up. So there is that principle. I'm not a big fan of gym PRs, but in terms of like a really technical PR, I benched 390 with really good form, which I'm really proud of, with pause, everything, butt on the bench, all that great stuff. So those are some of my biggest lifts. I can't really think of too many other PRs outside of that I'm incredibly proud of, but I know there's been a ton. I'm always setting new ones. There's always new, incredible, exciting things I'm doing, and I just love helping other people realize that they too can be strong and lift some crazy numbers.
Honestly, that's one of the biggest changes. Like a lot of people ask how you keep going. And I think for me, it's always been having these specific things that I'm striving for. Like sometimes I'll go through the motions, I'm showing up, I'm trying to be healthy, but the times that I'm the most fired up are when someone says, hey, we got a challenge going on, 225, let's do this. I'm lit up, like it's amazing, right? Obviously I am more challenge oriented, but even if you're not like that and you set these goals that you want to accomplish, like that alone can give you so much. Like when you start to switch it up and you start to focus on, maybe it's, even if you want to do a leg press PR, of course, make sure you're doing a full range of motion and everything, because people cheat themselves, but this alone can keep you going and keep you just setting new heights and continuously moving forward. And there's also differences. If you set like personal records at different body weights, that's awesome, right? For someone who does a 400-pound squat at 190 and then they happen to cut down to 160 to do all these things and they have a new personal record at that body weight, that's another cool way of keeping track of progress. But on top of the measurements, the photos, just the body weight, everything like that we mentioned, like strength PRs, just all that other stuff is one of the greatest things. And I highly recommend you striving for bigger and better things while keeping your form tight, watching our form videos on YouTube, and yeah, you'll be good to go there.
And last but not least, we have, I want to do a big cut and lose a lot of body fat, but I also want to keep as much muscle and strength as possible. Do you have any tips for me?
So this one's a really good question. The first thing I would say is like, if you keep your calories within like a moderate amount to the point where you're not like absolutely thrashing them. Let's say if your maintenance is 2,200, you bring it down to 1,200, that's about 1,000 calorie deficit per day. That's going to be quite a bit, right? You might eat into your muscle a little bit. You might just not have as much energy. It'll affect your workouts and all that stuff. So I'd say more of a moderate deficit would definitely be one of the greatest things. But past that, just like really pushing yourself with the strength training. Like we've gone through these competitions. I remember even just when we got shredded to do a physique competition and stuff. And it's so easy to just like think, oh, I have less energy. I'm not able to work out as much. I'm just going to stop and not push myself. But I find that the mind is very limiting. And it's funny enough that I was actually just filming a YouTube video of just me trying to maintain all my muscle mass for my marathon that I did before. I just filmed that and it should be going up pretty soon. But one of my biggest tips was get out of your head. Like it's so easy, I think, for a lot of people once they enter this stage, because you hear a lot of things where people say, oh, you do a bit more cardio, you're going to lose all your muscle. You enter a diet, you're just going to have no energy and lose all your strength and muscle. And when that happens, what's going to happen? You're going to believe it and it's going to take place. So it's very powerful to just keep a positive mindset. Even if I go into a diet phase, less calories, I say, you know what? I'm still going to be strong. I'm still going to push myself. I'm still going to do everything I can, and challenge yourself within the workouts. Have a good training program, of course, having some accountability, joining our 60-day shred. There's no better time to do it. And those are my biggest tips for this one.
Kyle knocked it out of the park there. And I find, especially when you want to maintain as much muscle as possible, it's really important you double down on your rest as well as your protein. These are two great ways to keep your muscle. The next big one is, a lot of people say I'm cutting, so naturally my strength is going to get crazy suppressed. Remove that attitude. Try to hold on to as much strength as you can, if not get stronger. You'd be amazed at what you can achieve. We did a whole series called Summer Shred, which was absolutely fantastic, and we shredded down, kept our strength, and actually did a powerlifting meet and hit new PRs, which was so fun. And when you actually do this, you'll find your muscle will show more, you'll keep more of it, you'll recover better by focusing on the rest. And protein is very satiating, as well as it helps you maintain muscle and put on new muscle. So you want to be really aware of that nutrient and really locked in on this time, but you can still see some incredible progress. You can eat your cake, you can have your cake and eat it too, as they say, by being aware of those things. So we hope you enjoyed today's episode. We want to thank you all for tuning in. Once again, our Summer Shred Challenge is coming up really soon. So if you want to take advantage of that, DM us on Instagram saying Summer Challenge. There's $5,000 in prizes. You're going to see incredible change. It's going to be an amazing 60-day challenge parameters that we're going to be doing as well. So we can't wait to get shredded with you. Peace out.